Welcome to a special edition of This Week in Cleantech. Appreciate the few of you on the floor who actually stuck around to listen to us. Everybody listening to us in the comfort of their own homes or their cars, though, they're stuck with us. They have to listen because that's the rule once you start a podcast. If you haven't heard this one before, it's called This Week in Cleantech. We try to touch the 5 biggest stories in clean energy every week with a special guest in around 15 minutes or so. You like to say 15 minutes or less. I like to say 15 minutes or more. It is what it is. My name is Paul Gerke. I am the content director of Factor This. Joined as always by Cleantech commentator and Mr. Jokester, Mike Casey. Mike, we have a special guest who is waiting off stage to come on, Jake Spring from the Washington Post, a returning guest to This Week in Cleantech.
Yes.
Pretty big one. Mike, how's the event been for you so far?
It's been awesome. I want to give a listener shout out to 3 people. First, Ellen Backus, Green Street Power Partners, she gets a massive listener shout out. She said that she is an avowed Gerke partisan.
Excuse me.
I'm just letting you know, because of the grief you give me. She told us that her staff listens to This Week in Cleantech each week because it's a compact roundup of this week's news. Ellen Backus, you're an audience multiplier. Mike Nowicki, brother, raise your hand. Burns McDonald came up to me yesterday, said he likes the show. He puts up with you. Nora Zakarski from SIA. Is she out there? She was going to come down. All right.
I'm sorry she didn't show up for you, Mike. But we do have other listener shout-outs. Actually, we've been getting a lot of love out here at RE+. I like to be self-deprecating because that's what us Midwesterners are best at. But ultimately, we've been getting a lot of positive feedback. Another from GSPP, Nick Sangermano, yesterday had some nice things to say about us. PR side, Aaron Greason, very nice. And I got to say, Nico Johnson, Mr. Suncast himself over here. The leprechaun in the full green suit off stage right. He's amazing. And what he puts on here is special. And it's cool to be a part of it.
Do you think he is a listener or just a host? Because I don't think he listens to us.
Well, he wasn't listening right now, so I don't assume he listens to us any other time.
I would agree.
He's probably just a host. We do have a listener element in the show every week. If you want stories to be talked about for one reason or another, just email us. My email address is paul.gerke@clarionevents.com. All right, enough of the platitudes and the pleasantries, Mike. We do have 5 big stories to get to. What's number 1 this week?
Mark Chediak. Bloomberg News, big solar developers see delays in U.S. project approvals. I will note that we wanted to have Mr. Chediak on, but no, he had an interview to do. So he chose to do his job other than coming on our show. So he's banned for life.
He chose to do his job instead of pro bono work for you, is what you're saying.
No, this is a glorification platform. The man does not have priorities. I'd say we just ban him.
All right, the gist of this story, Mike. Solar developers, including those at EDF Renewables North America and Arevon, we talked to you at this event, saying the Interior Department has stopped granting permits for large-scale projects that impact federal land. Now, this comes after the Trump administration ordered the Interior Secretary, Doug Burgum, to personally sign off on a bunch of points on wind and solar permits, not the way business was done before, but the way business is being done now, to the detriment of pretty much everybody. Ryan Affair, the EVP at EDP, says, quote, he is optimistic that once the need is made clear for the energy, that projects will move forward, that demand tailwind we've been talking about at RE+, Mike.
So your one correction is not the way that things have been done before here, but they've been done in Russia that way for 30 years.
Sorry, comrade, I didn't know.
I'm just telling you, this is a Putin-style economy. All right. These developers are receiving no response from the administration. It seems pretty clear Secretary Burgum's not going to be losing sleep processing these applications. While Americans face record electricity demand from electrification, AI, this administration is keeping clean, cheap power off the grid. This is a move that protects fossil fuels' stranglehold on the economy. And when there's no criteria, no process or rationale for being the bottleneck on new electricity sources, it is what is close to what we can call a shakedown.
Who's getting shut down? Shut? Past tense?
You live in New Jersey. You should know what a shakedown is. Story number
2. This one from Vijay Vaitheswaran of The Economist. It's titled, Why Nuclear is Now a Booming Industry. Booming, huh? Always 8 to 10 years away, but booming.
Yep. All right. So the nuclear bros are going to be swarming my page on LinkedIn. When I say this, over the last 20 years, no nuclear power plant has been built on time and on budget in Europe or North America. Whoops. Nuclear plants in America, Britain, Finland have experienced delays and cost overruns. All the while, the cost of renewables has plummeted. But now, governments in many Western countries want to see a clean, secure, and independent source of electricity, and nuclear power is an option. In the U.S., Trump has called to quadruple domestic capacity by 400 gigawatts by 2050 and has preserved and introduced nuke tax credits for nukes throughout the tax bill. The EU has recently revealed a roadmap that forecasts nuclear capacity will increase from 100 gigawatts to 145 gigawatts by 2050. I will note that yesterday Dan Sugar was up on stage and he called out nuclear proponents for not being realistic about how long it will take to bring these sources of power online. Paul Gerke.
Yo, here's an RE Plus shout out real quick. I just saw that Nextracker went and bought Origami Solar, didn't they?
They did.
That's pretty cool. I remember talking to Greg Patterson of that company a couple years ago about what they were putting out. But that's a testament to the domestic solar products that are being built in America right now.
Yes, sir.
Back to the nuclear stuff, though, Mike. So we hear a lot in this space about small modular reactors, SMRs. We got people talking about putting them on the moon, for Christ's sake. But yet, where are they? And when are they actually going to provide services to our grid and fix some of the issues we're staring down this barrel of load growth? SMRs as an industry have raised something like $2 billion in the last couple of years. And just last week, we were talking with This Week in Cleantech guest Tim Deschamps. He had a story highlighting a dozen of these SMR startups that have raised over $100 million themselves. Fusion startups, like $2.6 billion through this July. There's a lot of money in this space, but when and how, Mike? That seems to be the big holdup. Nuclear developers and supply chain firms are raising lots of money through public offerings as well. Big tech also jumping in to save nuclear plants from retirement. It seems like every day we see another story. This one's going to be extended. This one's not going to shut down. New financial models that tackle the poor economics of building nuclear plants could lead to a boom in the industry. China and South Korea have proved that you can build big reactors in 5 years or less. You hear 8 to 10 a lot more common here stateside. Right now, still dealing with a lot of lack of skilled labor. We haven't had people that have built nuclear plants in the U.S. in quite some time. We also are still facing some supply chain issues, although from what I've heard here at RE Plus, Mike, the supply chain issues are starting to loosen up a little bit. They're certainly not what they were during COVID times.
Story number 3, Benoit Morin and Josh Dawsey from the Wall Street Journal. Oil tycoons bet big on Trump, and it is paying off.
If you follow this space, this is not news to you, because not that long ago, President Trump was literally at a podium calling for $1 billion from the oil industry, and he would do whatever they wanted. Like, that's a quote. You can go watch it online. It's not a surprise that the oil industry has donated tens of millions of dollars to help re-elect Trump. The Trump administration opening federal waters and now some wilderness areas to drilling. They've been approving new terminals to export natural gas, LNG, and they're attempting to basically gut the environmental regulations that stand in the way of a lot of this development. And of course, we talk a lot about the OBA, the OBBB, or whatever you want to call it, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, sunsetting tax credits, particularly for the wind and solar side. The batteries, not so much, but you also need some generation for the batteries to work. So you're shooting yourself in the foot there. Mike, what did you think about this piece?
So despite some policy wins, oil companies aren't seeing gains, at least not yet. But Trump's shifting trade stance and global crude oversupply have driven down oil prices, erasing billions in market value and triggering layoffs. The number of oil and gas extraction jobs declined by more than 3% between January and August of this year to its lowest level in 2 years. So the steel and aluminum tariffs are also raising drilling costs. Yeah. And clean energy companies are arguing that the U.S. risks losing the global AI race to China as they advance in solar panels, batteries, and EVs. But here is what the oil and gas lobby got for their money: an unrelenting aggression and an unprecedented weaponization of federal resources to attack a job-creating, low-cost, clean energy source. These folks, that is what they got for their money.
Well said, Mike. Story number 4, Jana Wilter and Raphael Satter over at Reuters, titled U.S. Warns Hidden Radios May Be Embedded in Solar Power Highway Infrastructure. What?
Yeah, this popped into the feed, and I said, we got to put this in here. Yeah. So, to be clear, the Chinese government has widespread spying operations.
You think we don't?
And a lot of it's electronic. That's an established fact.
Yeah.
However, this is also a season of outrageous anti-free market attacks by federal officials on job-creating clean energy. So just because you're paranoid does not mean they're not out to get you.
That's right. I love that.
Right?
You'll never see the black helicopters coming.
So here's the cynic's view, okay? This announcement is designed to launch the right-wing media theme that all solar devices are covert Chinese spying tools.
Gotta be.
And they want to make sure that that's a label that gets stuck on these people's forehead and never comes off. So separately, Washington raised concerns about Chinese radios on U.S. highways, suggesting that Chinese companies could collect sensitive data while testing autonomous vehicles.
So this is the same kind of school of thought as the offshore wind stuff, right? Is that you've got all these foreign entities creating these components, and they're a threat to us, maybe in an ambiguous way or maybe in a more literal way, as in they're a recording device. Before I get into my thoughts on this, and before we welcome Jake up on stage, do you really think that we can beat China in the AI race? Because the more I learn about what they've done to their grid and what the struggles we face with ours, I see China had just a huge natural advantage that is going to be almost impossible for us to overcome. I don't want to be a doomsayer, but I don't see how we could catch up.
Well, unlike a lot of the columnists that we tweak on the show, I think I should respect the fact that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, let me just add that as a caveat permanently.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
all right, fair enough.
What's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago.
Yeah.
What's the second best time to plant a tree?
Right now.
Yes, sir.
Amen, brother.
Being in a fetal crouch has never won a foot race.
Well said. And the U.S. right now, obviously, trying to escalate the government action over Chinese technology and its infrastructure, as I mentioned a moment ago. Commerce finalized some rules that would bar most Chinese cars and trucks in the U.S. market, as we know. The Federal Highway Administration also emphasizing that these hidden radios increase the risk of simultaneous outages and surreptitious theft of data. Mike, story number 5.
All right, we're going to bring up our guest, Jake Spring from the Washington Post.
Get a round of applause for Jake Spring, a returning guest on This Week in Cleantech. It takes a lot to convince someone to come back, Mike. It's one thing to get them on, but then once they've been exposed to the chicanery, it's tough to convince them to get back up on the stage and talk to us. But Jake is a great sport. He's been busy out here at RE+2. Jake, first of all, before we get started, just want to say thank you for putting this piece together. What's the main takeaway from Trump's war on wind getting much bigger?
So, as you guys are familiar, Empire Wind, this project up in New York, was there was a stop work order issued, and Governor Kathy Hochul intervened, cut a deal with Trump that she'd be more amenable to natural gas pipelines being built. I wrote that story. I thought it was over, and then late one Friday, they do a stop work order on Revolution Wind, and then the following Monday, it shows up they're going to pull the permits for this Maryland wind project. And then they're going to pull the permits for a New England wind project. So it's like this suddenly expanded when people thought maybe it was quieting down. And I just want to highlight in paragraph 4, it says sources are also saying they might issue stop work orders on all of them under construction. Like that's something under active consideration. So this thing, I mean, the headline is the war on wind just got a lot bigger. Yeah, it got several times bigger.
Do you think it dawns on any of the folks that are in the administration right now that the pendulum tends to swing in this country, and then when a new administration comes in that has a D after its name, they're going to be doing interesting things like stop work orders on liquid natural gas terminals and things like that? I don't know if it dawns on whatever lobbyists embedded themselves in the Trump administration, from a skill standpoint, they're doing a great job because it's inventive, it's creative, and it's super aggressive. But I just think to myself, dude, do you not, this works both ways. Do you get any sense of fingerprints and who's actually driving this within the administration?
I mean, everybody says it's Trump himself.
Yeah.
That's why it's not going away, because Trump himself really doesn't like wind, and so he's guiding it, even if wiser minds might be telling him not to.
Fair enough, but by every account, he doesn't even read. So I have a hard time. I don't think he even knows the names of these projects. So somebody is channeling him or taking his orders and doing this very skillfully, because it's costing billions and billions of dollars.
Right. Well, I mean, in that cabinet meeting, you saw him railing against wind himself. So, I mean, I don't think he needs to know the names. He just says it simply. No more windmills. He always calls them windmills.
Windmills, right.
No more windmills are going to be built, period. Leave the rest details to his usual team.
The journalism on this goes back quite a long ways if you want to dig. It was some line of sight Scottish golf course thing he had beef with back in the day. He just doesn't like him. I saw Lee Zeldin recently made an appearance where it was like he was actually pressed and was like, well, why though? Why are we taking gigawatts off the grid? And his answer was just that. Trump doesn't like wind. Mm-hmm. Like that was the only explanation.
But I'll make an additional point, though. We've been told that the USDA secretary, agriculture secretary, is going around to rural communities and spreading this nonsense that solar panels contaminate farm fields. This is not an I hate offshore wind obsession. This is a patterned campaign to use government to manage a market threat. I mean, you can't look at the actions and sum it up every differently because it's not just offshore wind. It's not. Look at the Bergam order. There's no criteria. There's no process. So what's a solar CEO supposed to do? Buy $1 million in Trump family meme coin? Like, I mean, really?
That's not the worst idea, unfortunately.
Well, we'll send a news release if we do that.
Please do. But yeah, I mean, solar needs to figure out something that works to influence the government. It's clear on the one big beautiful bill that they just don't have that hard political power in D.C.
On the wind side, I thought it was interesting that once the stop order was issued on Empire Wind, Governor Kathy Hochul found a way to get that project back under construction. And from what I've read, it sounds like the way that she did that was negotiating fossil fuel resources to satisfy whatever it is that whoever was pressing the button to cancel this was satisfied with. Do you see that as a path forward for these other wind projects where if you're able to kiss the ring, you might actually still be able to get these projects online?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont, was saying it was exactly that. There's a deal to be done here. He's going to find it. I don't know if every state's going to be able to find a deal. I mean, Westmore in Maryland going loggerheads with Trump, like, is he going to find a deal?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then you see, like in Virginia, though, Dominion, like Speaker of the House is going to bat for that project behind closed doors, as Politico reported. So is
Glenn Youngkin. He's the only governor,
Yes.
Republican governor, standing up for it. Well, let us hope that the governors only has to kiss the ring, as well as other things, and we are going to have to go to our Cleantecher of the Week.
Let's do it. This is a segment, if you haven't seen the show before, this is episode 92, 93. You maybe should check it out. But we do this every time. It's just a shout out to someone in the industry.
Yep.
Ultimately, no matter what you think, if you think we're idiots, we're still all in this together. And we want to be voices for the industry. And part of that is supporting the work that you're doing. So this week's Cleantecher in the Week, Nantu Canelos, the executive director of the Cara Solar Foundation. If you haven't heard about them, the foundation is led by Indigenous engineers and community leaders. They've developed 12 solar power canoes to villages in Ecuador, Peru, Brazil, Suriname, and the Solomon Islands. In a lot of communities, rivers are the roads, and solar boats help spare the cost of fuel while reducing pollution. That is an ingenious solution in the way we use clean tech.
That is badass. I want to give a shout out to our terrific producer, Brian Mendez, who I think, did you say that he had a message for us?
Yeah, he was blowing my phone up earlier, and I've got stuff to do. Like, I don't have time to listen to Mendez's issues.
Well, let's just play it for a second.
You want me to play the voicemail?
Well, I think it was important, man. I mean, I'm just saying.
Sure.
Alex Peterson out there in Clear and helped gather these stories.
Let's see.
All right.
Man, there's a situation here. Clarion just called me and told me that you trashed the corporate jet
That wasn't me.
on the way to Vegas.
Yeah, you had the party on the jet.
No.
They had to pick up something like over 27 beer cans.
That would be a high
and
score.
like several bottles of
I told
empty
you.
whiskey.
Dude, this is bad.
There was some serious language used that I cannot repeat
Mike, this goes on for a long time.
because I just don't feel comfortable saying that.
Okay.
But they basically told me that you guys will be flying commercial on your way home.
Thanks,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Great. Appreciate it. I told you.
You got the Delta points you can use, though, right?
United, but that's not the point. I told you not to use a Sharpie on the jet wall and sign your name. We're not that big of stars yet.
We have a confused audience that doesn't know that Clarion doesn't have a corporate jet. But now they're going to think we do, and we trashed it.
Dude. Anyway.
Another inside joke.
We need to thank our guests,
Yes, we do.
seriously, for coming on this show.
Jake Spring, thank you so much for your time and putting up with the BS. Really appreciate the journalism you're doing. It means a lot to the space right now.
Serious journalism, needing adult supervision.
You got to have a little bit of both, best of both worlds. And thank you for everyone here that listened at RE Plus and who took our calls this week to chat about everything going on in the space. If you want to be on the show or talk about a certain article, just click the links in the episode description where you get your podcasts. Leave some feedback, like us, send us an email, do whatever you want.
And let's give a hand out for the Suncast crew, man. These guys did a great job.
guys.
Awesome guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. See you next week.